Hello, my name's Beverley Lee, and I'd like to read for you a short extract from my latest release, The Ruin of Delicate Things. Chapter 16. The boy watched the woman creeping up the stairs, her image cast back to where he stood, shrouded in shadow in the doorway of what had once been a guest bedroom. Behind him in the gloom, a four-poster bed canopied in moth-eaten pale blue silk, a filthy blue and gold rug in front of the hearth. Ruined, like everything else in Barrington Hall. He knew her scent already, and it was ripe here, rounded with fear. The woman paused at the curve of the stairs. Her eyes darted to the mirror. He froze, halting his breath, as if that might make him invisible. Part of him wanted her to continue, but a bigger part wanted her to run like hell. He knew what it meant when you crept inside this house, the terrible line that you crossed. He knew that to his own cost. He saw her gaze fall to the stairs, wet hair curling against the pale column of her throat. The line of her collarbone stood out under the thin fabric of her t-shirt. "Little girl lost," came a whisper against his ear, a glimmer of blue in the corner of his vision. A flash of lightning arced across the windows, and he flinched, sinking into a crouch with his hands over his ears. 1, 2, 3, 4, he counted in his head, steeling himself. But the crack of thunder as it resounded through the roof. The rain hammered down onto the slate tiles, insistent, merciless. The boy opened his mouth, inhaling great gulps of air, riding the fear as it coursed through his blood. Because it doesn't matter if you know a thing can't hurt you. If it lives in your head, it has teeth. Then he heard the sound of her feet on the stairs, running. He was happy that she was, but scared of what would leave with her, because one thing was for certain: if you entered Barrington Hall, you never left alone. The great door slammed behind her, the noise echoing through the empty house, but it wasn't truly empty. He could feel them, stirring. He wanted to go to the window, to watch her as she ran, but the rain was a wild beast, pummeling against the glass, driven by the ruthless wind. They wouldn't let him out tonight, because the hunt would provide no amusement when he wouldn't run. The boy crept along the hallway. Strips of mouldering wallpaper hung like flayed skin from the walls. He looked over the stair rail, saw her wet footprints in the dust, and something else. He padded down the wide stairs as thunder rolled across the valley. Rain lashed against the doors, and he closed his eyes, willing his fear to settle for just a few seconds. A gust of wind rattled down the chimney, scattering sooty dust and ancient cobweb fragments along the entrance hall floor. And then, as storms sometimes do, he took a deep breath. He sprinted forward, snatched hold of the tote bag on the chair, his hand closing over the edge of the sketch pad. The scent of rain crawled into his throat and he whimpered, skidding back the way he had come, his prizes clutched in his hands. At the top of the staircase, by the old mirror, he sat and opened the bag, withdrew the contents slowly. He ran his fingers over the label on the water bottle, carefully unscrewed the lid, inhaled the wet, fresh smell of the water within. But this was good water. He took a deep draught, the chill running down his throat. He opened the small oblong tin, a nest of charcoal stubs inside. He unzipped the suede case, let his fingers run over the soft fabric, removing the pencils one by one. He did this all slowly, reverently, savouring each moment, these little treasures that had fallen into his hands. The boy in the mirror did the same, although he did not see the look of wonder on that face. At the bottom of the bag was something he didn't recognise. It was small, with a glass screen. He shook it, but it didn't rattle. Raised rubber buttons sat along its long edges, and at the bottom 3 different shaped holes. He had no idea what it was, but it must have been important to the woman if she had brought it with her. The sketch pad he left at the end on purpose. He had seen it on her knee the night he had stood on the edge of the forest, her slight frame curled up on the windowsill. She had no idea what watched her from the roof, but the creature knew he was there. His displeasure was palpable. Slowly he opened the pad and leafed through the pages. The sketches were all in black and white, some done in faint pencil, the detail within them taking his breath away. Here was a cat, lying in the sun, patches of light striping its fur. Here was a dying flower, its head drooped, a single leaf still clinging to its stem. Others were done in the charcoal stubs from the tin. These were heavier, the lines more sure of themselves, but angry, as though whatever she held inside was escaping through her fingers. But the heaviness wasn't clumsy. Each line had a purpose, a part of the whole, and that whole was beautiful. He found the page from the night he'd first seen her, knew she'd only caught a glimpse of him before he was pulled away. Strong vertical lines, created swiftly, smudges of charcoal as she'd crafted the tops of the trees impatiently, all the time her eyes searching for the tiniest hint of movement. And there he was in the gloom, his face gazing up, pale against the darkness, hollow eyes and dishevelled hair, his clothes hanging on a gaunt frame. Only a few lines of charcoal on a blank piece of paper, but she had caught him there, as surely as if she had laid out her own snare. He shivered, but he was strangely touched. He turned over the next sheet of paper, the one still damp from a dash into the house. Whilst the sketch before had been a simple affair, this one was blunt and dark and brooding. The charcoal was heavy, the lines sharp and unforgiving, and from out of this temple rose the black hulk of Barrington Hall. Thunderclouds rolled over its roof, the windows not quite dark, like half-closed eyelids. The boy's heart began to race as he stared at the detail, at the house that was both his prison and the only place that held the tattered shreds of his safety. His fingers hovered over the sketch, one part in particular making the hairs rise across his skin. One of the great doors was open, and if he looked closely, he could see the noose hanging from the chandelier. I'd like to say a huge thank you to the fabulous Sadie Hartman for giving me the chance to read for you this weekend. And happy birthday, Sadie. We love you. Mwah, mwah.